So Caoimhin Kelleher put in an absolutely sensational performance in the League Cup final against Chelsea, and with Alisson out injured until at least after the international break, according to the Brazil manager. The big question is the Irishman ready to step up and fill those very, very big gloves in the short term? And potentially, could he go on to establish himself as Liverpool's first choice goalkeeper? Big question, I know, and hopefully we'll be able to have a chat around it and find out a big answer. The goalkeeper situation is really interesting at Liverpool for me, least of all because I always was a goalkeeper, and so I pay more attention to these kind of things than I do to most, and it's the closest thing I have to a field of expertise when it comes to actually playing football. On the field, what I've seen throughout my time as a Liverpool fan is more often than not Liverpool goalkeepers not being up to the standard required to help make Liverpool a top tier football team. So when one comes along, not only does he stand out like a sore thumb, but he's the kind of player that you want to keep hold of as much as humanly possible. Top goalkeepers in world football are a very, very rare commodity indeed, almost as rare, you might argue, as goal scoring centre forwards. They are in very, very short supply, and there's a reason why the top ones have longevity. Obviously, as goalkeepers, you tend to have a longer career, but also have longevity at the top of the game, because once you've got one, the top clubs will fight tooth and nail to keep that one at their football club, because every football club has experienced that misstep of letting one go and having to go through the goalkeeping wilderness to find one that matches that quality. Is Manuel Neuer the level of goalkeeper now that he was 10 years ago? No, but Bayern Munich will do everything in their power to keep him until someone even remotely close to as good presents himself. And Liverpool are in an interesting situation with Alisson. I believe him to be the best goalkeeper on the planet. However, once again, they're faced with the situation where he's got a spell on the sidelines, something that is not unfamiliar to Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp in recent years. Liverpool's title-winning campaign, of course, saw him miss the start of the season, picked up an injury in the first game of the season, and he had to be deputised for by Adrian, who basically came in a week or so earlier on a free transfer from West Ham and ended up being a little bit of a miniature star for the Reds, helping in the win of Chelsea in the Super Cup in that run, as well as maintaining an unbeaten run to the start of the Premier League campaign. So, Caoimhin Kelleher has seen a rise in his use over recent years, and I think it's fascinating to watch his development, because I've never actually seen a goalkeeper rise through the ranks and become a first choice goalkeeper at Liverpool in my time following the club. That's certainly the case. We've seen it happen in other places in different ways about. So the one that most comes to mind for me is Iker Casillas at Real Madrid. Very, very young when he breaks into that team of absolute Galacticos and goes on, obviously, to become the Spanish goalkeeper, win every trophy known to man across football, and become an absolute nailed-on legend of the game for all time. I can think of Thibaut Courtois, who was a Chelsea goalkeeper, was loaned out for 2 years to Atletico Madrid, came back, had a good time at Chelsea, albeit didn't really truly win everyone over, but has now established himself firmly as a top quality goalkeeper at Real Madrid, which of course Liverpool fans know firsthand from a man of the match performance in the Champions League a few years back. No! What we've seen with Kelleher is a sort of steady increase, and to the point where now he can safely look back on his career and say he has had a strong hand in the winning of 2 trophies for Liverpool. That's the 2 consecutive wins, or the last two wins for Liverpool in the League Cup final 2 years ago against Chelsea, and then the recent one against Chelsea as well. And you can look back at that game and go, yes, be proud, because you are one of the reasons why that trophy is in Liverpool's cabinet and not Chelsea's. 2 years ago, he scores the effectively the winning penalty in the shootout, as well as making a string of really good saves. And although Virgil van Dijk picks up man of the match in both finals, the most recent one is probably the most complete goalkeeping performance that we've seen from Kelleher in his time at Liverpool to date. So it begs the question, can he fill that breach, not just in the short term, but beyond? I want to look at just very briefly, and statistically I think is really interesting, because if you can go on FBref and you can do a comparison for how he compares against the top goalies. Now, why not compare him against the best in the league, which is what I have done, and pulling up the spider diagrams on this, comparing him to both Alisson and to Ederson as well leads to there's an obvious gap there. There's a really big slice out of the pie, and that slice is effectively in shot stopping. We had a really interesting debate about Kelleher, and it's been my chief criticism of as a goalkeeper this season is that stylistically I think he's brilliant. I think he's great with his feet. I think he's very cool, very calm, very composed. He's actually got a decent aura about him, but he doesn't save enough things. The performance of the weekend was really stand out in terms of that very Alisson-like moments. In fact, we discussed it on the Player Ratings podcast immediately after that game. Here's a little clip from that.
He made 5 incredible saves without us ever really looking like the underdogs.
He was magnificent. You know, you already described him, Dan, as like this Alisson-like moments, and in particular one-on-ones. I've been very critical of him this season in particular, that I think his distribution is wonderful with both feet. I think he's a cool head. I think he really suits our style of play, but unfortunately he's not Alisson Becker. Today he was.
Yeah, he was, absolutely was, yeah. And he's had some magnificent moments in his Liverpool career to date, like, and some big performances along the way as well, but that tops a lot of them. That tops a lot of them and some. He was just incredible. Like, some of the saves he made were just out of this world. Like, and if it was Alisson Becker in goal, we'd all be singing from the rooftops how incredible it was, and we should be doing exactly the same for Caoimhin Kelleher. Like, just because he isn't Alisson doesn't mean he wasn't as good as him today, because honestly I think he was. He never put a foot wrong. He was that calmness at the back when we need him to be as well. His distribution was brilliant, but honestly, like, some of the saves, they defy belief. A lot of what Liverpool did today defies utter logic, and a lot of what Caoimhin Kelleher did today is also the same, because he wasn't called upon loads. When he was called upon, it felt like it was a big chance. Like, it was almost like do or die moments, and he stood up to be counted time and time again and kept us in the game at times, because there's a couple of moments there whereby I think they have to score, but because of Caoimhin Kelleher they don't, and it's just incredible.
After Joe put a stat out, 13, Caoimhin Kelleher hasn't conceded a goal in either of his 2 finals for Liverpool, both versus Chelsea, despite facing 13 shots on target and a 3.9 XG on target. Elite.
The man for the big occasion, isn't he, as well, really? We talk about like, what it means and just how big the stage was. Like, he doesn't shy away from it. He rises to it. His performances get better when it matters.
Yeah, he did. He stepped up, and I'd say it was those one-on-ones for me in particular. The one for Conor Gallagher. That's a moment where they should score that, really. You know, he's clean through on goal. It's broken down for his dad. And Kelleher, that's his moment to shine. And he has, I think, 2 other saves throughout the game, which I think are absolutely unbelievable. But that, for me, is the one.
That one, I thought, goal. He's through on goal. It's, you know, we're going 1-0 down. And he was so like Alisson in the way he just destroyed the space in front of Gallagher and made it impossible for him to get the ball past him. But you know, for me, that other save, point blank save, right almost on the goal line, for me that was absolutely sensational. And there's no doubt that in that game we'd have got a goal or maybe even 2 goals behind without him, and we wouldn't have recovered.
Yes, no, I don't think
we weren't in a fit state to recover from going behind. You know, certainly not 2 behind.
So I am going to put it out there, straight out the traps. Bearing in mind, I'm well aware of who I'm sat on the couch with.
I know where you're going.
I'm giving Caoimhin Kelleher a 10 out of 10.
I agree with you. I was literally, as you were talking, I was thinking, is there a way I can find out not to give him a 10? I can't think of a way. It's a 10.
I can.
Go on. Why?
Because when he's better next time, he'll want a 10.
Sure, 10 out of 10.
You've got to have room for manoeuvre.
10 out of 10.
In essence, I agree with you, but I can't fault a single thing he did. He was incredible.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, but I just have a think about not giving 10s because he's going to be better.
Yeah, okay. 10 out of 10 for Kelleher.
I never liked giving Luis Suarez 10 because I just knew he'd be better the week after.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're going to give him the benefit of the doubt in a final.
Give him 9.5 if you want.
Give Kelleher 10 out of 10.
Yeah, when you get a 10 out of 10 performance and you get Dan Club and John Machin both to grudgingly agree to 10s/9.5s, you know, that's a great performance. And look, what we said there, you know, ring true, and I'll echo some of it here. Yeah, I've seen goalkeepers. I mean, Karius was a good stylistic fit for Liverpool compared to Mignolet, but Mignolet was probably a better shot stopper. And ultimately, you know, let's not go into what happened to Loris Karius, of course. Alisson was so far and away everyone. He's complete. He's brilliant with his feet. He's dead composed. He's great in the air. He's a phenomenal shot stopper. His decision making is second to none. So yeah, you've got that to get past. But that was a first indicator for me on Kelleher was the performance in the final. And where stats don't really help his cause right now, there's not enough data. That's the problem with Kelleher. So those comparisons from FBref are effectively looking back over a period of time. And Kelleher's has not played enough football games. It equates for about 11 games of football, more or less, because it's the top leagues and the top competitions. So it looks at Europa League and Premier League, where he's played, I think it's 5 and 6 games respectively in those competitions. Yeah. And loads more for Alisson, loads more for Ederson. So yeah, ultimately more data to draw upon. And that is the thing. Kelleher he's 25, so he's coming into his prime years as a footballer, but he's still a few years away from really being in his prime as a goalkeeper. So there is definitely room for improvement. And the thing about goalkeepers is, how are you going to improve if you don't play football? And that's what's really interesting about Kelleher this season. So I went back through his run as a Liverpool goalkeeper, going all the way back to 1920, which is Liverpool's title-winning season, the one that's ultimately curtailed and then restarted thanks to COVID. At 21 years old, he made a grand total of 4 appearances in the Liverpool first team, 3 in the EFL Cup and 1 in the FA Cup. The season that follows, what we know as the COVID season, he makes 5 appearances, none in the EFL Cup, 2 in the Premier League, 1 in the FA Cup and 2 in the Champions League. Interesting to note on that was he missed the Preston game in the EFL Cup, in 2021 he misses it's the COVID season. He gets Ajax and Midtjylland because of an injury to Alisson Becker, so good experience for him in that. But he's not actually in the squad from February onwards for Liverpool, which is an interesting one. And Adrian in those first 2 seasons is still. He's edging Adrian out as the second choice goalkeeper, but is nowhere near quite yet established as the nailed on de facto understudy for Alisson. As we head into 21-22, we've already touched upon it, but this is the season that he plays in the final of the EFL Cup and has a really distinct hand in Liverpool's victory there. 8 appearances on the season then, 4 in the EFL Cup, 2 in the Premier League, 2 in the FA Cup, and again at 23 years old, that was seen as like quite a good return. Now, what we were looking for, and there were a lot of rumours that Kelleher might consider his future at the end of that season. We were starting to have that chat about what happens next for him, really. We were also coming out of that League Cup final thinking, is there a better second choice goalkeeper in the Premier League? Very secure. This is the lad you want to have, because everyone else, Adrian was, a couple of years on from the best that he'd been at Liverpool, which is fair to say probably wasn't good enough. But everyone else who was younger was still much too young to fulfill the role of young goalkeeper. So Kelleher was kind of stuck in a bit of a limbo there. At 23 years old, still with lots of good experience ahead of him, lots of game time still to come in his career. Not lots of experience under his belt, but what he had, he'd done pretty well in, of course. And then you're hoping, can he kick on? Can he get the same the next year? And this is the problem with the backup goalie. It's the curse of the backup goalie. 22, 23, 4 appearances in all comps. Now, there's a combination of that, of a hamstring injury, which keeps him out of the first 9 game weeks in the Premier League. He doesn't play a Premier League game until the dead rubber against Southampton at the end of the campaign. It's an absolute, it's an abortive attempt at a season for Liverpool. An absolute nightmare last year around by our own very sort of high standards. And his appearances are just 2 in the EFL Cup, 1 in the Premier League, as mentioned, and 1 in the FA Cup. So like half as much football as he played the season before. And then once again, the rumours of him wanting to leave. There's a lot of talk around the Irish manager kind of encouraging him to go and get some more regular football if he wants to nail down his international place. And Liverpool make what seems, I think, in the summer, a bit of a surprising decision not to cash in on him. When the season actually comes round, this season to January, they reject a 15 million bid for Nottingham Forest for him. And right now, here we are. It looks like an absolute masterstroke. 16 appearances prior to the Southampton FA Cup game, 6 in the League Cup, 5 in the Prem. That will be his first appearance if he plays against Southampton. That'll be 1, and 5 in Europe. So yeah, at 25 years old, he's now made 16 appearances in the first team for Liverpool this season. And as we can see from the final, are we starting to see him grow and mature into that role? Hopefully, fingers crossed. There certainly are some encouraging signs in that regards. But the big question is he going to be capable of stepping above and beyond that? And it seems a little bit premature, I think, from my perspective, and I can freely admit that, to start questioning whether he can replace Alisson. The issue is with Alisson, he remains too injury prone, more injury prone, certainly I think any of us would be comfortable with. We don't know how long Alisson's going to be out for this season. The only real indicator we've had of the length of this injury comes from the Brazil manager, who basically let it slip that he wasn't going to be available for the next round of international games. So, looking at what Liverpool have to play and therefore what he's going to miss, what Alisson will miss for Liverpool is the midweek game against Southampton in the 5th round of the FA Cup, Nottingham Forest in the Premier League, the away first leg of the Europa League round of 16 against Sparta Prague, Manchester City at Anfield in the Premier League, the second leg against Sparta Prague at Anfield, the Merseyside derby, or a quarter-final of the FA Cup, depending how the Southampton game goes. And then the first game after the international break is Brighton at home. And of course, right now, there are no indications that he will actually be available for that. There are some very, very nasty rumours that the injury could be worse, but I won't delve into that because we don't have the information on that. So effectively, if Kelleher plays in all of those games, that will be an additional 7 matches that he's played, which will take him to the grand total of 23 appearances on the season for Liverpool. I think we'll have a much better idea of his level by then. Now, the thing is, there's no one else at the football club who's even remotely as good as him. Adrian, as mentioned, has had his day. You could do worse than throw Adrian into odd games. I still maintain he's a pretty good shot stopper, but we know Adrian is a known entity. We know what his ceiling is, and his ceiling a few years on is lower than it was when he joined the football club. You see Mrošek featuring on the bench a number of times. Peter Luger, I think, has gone out on loan again. He's another one who's not ready to become Liverpool's first choice goalkeeper. You would be weakening our proposition right now to put anyone other than Kelleher in goal. So this is his chance, this is his opportunity to shine. And isn't it funny how that happens with young players sometimes? Funny as it is to call a 25-year-old man a young player. But we see this where I don't think anyone thought that Liverpool had a particular issue at right back when Nathaniel Klein was there. He was very rarely, if ever, injured. Really solid, really dependable. Given Liverpool had a number of ups and downs with fullbacks, Klein just seemed a really solid England international calibre and possibly above right back. Gets injured, Trent comes in, and then over a period of the next 6 months, establishes himself and then goes on to become an absolute generationally talented footballer. Football is littered with examples like this. Now, I'm not saying that, let's not write Alisson Becker off just yet, and I don't think Liverpool would be doing anything like that, but this is a really interesting opportunity. The stars are sort of aligning for Kelleher. If he can stay injury-free and he can continue this development, the job for him is to make it a really interesting discussion when Alisson is available and back to fitness, because make no bones about it, if Liverpool want to challenge on multiple fronts this season, they've got one trophy in the bag. If they want more, they're going to need a good goalkeeper between the sticks. Kelleher has shown that he's more than capable, and I still maintain that maybe the landscape has changed in the last 2 years, but I can't think of many better second choice goalkeepers at the Premier League level than Kelleher. And I think the big question will be, can he go one step beyond that? The realistic answer is probably no, because you're talking about the best goalie on the planet. But mad stories happen in football. History writes itself under pressing circumstances, particularly at Liverpool. New heroes always seem to emerge when the day seems darkest. Massive opportunity for a wonderfully talented goalkeeper. Aura is a huge thing. I talk about it perhaps too much, but your stature, you've got to start to make opposition feel like you're unbeatable. And that's the biggest hurdle facing Kelleher. He's so cool, he's so calm. I don't feel nervous when he has the ball at his feet, despite that he looks so calm at times. I feel almost more calm with him at the ball at his feet than Alisson, which is a very strange thing to say. But right now, he's not enough of a wall in goal. If he can put more performances in, like their League Cup final, though, then that aura will only grow. And then, you never know, you might just have another goalkeeper, because look, Alisson's in his 30s now. Goalkeepers can go on for a number of years, but maybe you're in a world where Liverpool are going, the best we're going to offer Kelleher here is a loan, or a year or a couple of years out to continuous development, because I think they'd be mad. We have not seen anyone come through the ranks remotely this good in my whole time supporting Liverpool. So they would be a bit crazy to pass up on that, but ultimately things happen, things move on in football, and the player will have his own desires as well. But right now I'm enjoying watching the progression of Kelleher. It's been an absolutely stellar rise from him, and now he's getting his opportunities. We're reaping the rewards of the seed sown by Klopp over the last few years of giving him his chances, going back to leaving him in England when the team went off to Qatar, letting him play in a team where we played Shrewsbury with a team of kids in the FA Cup as well, and now to the point where he's helping to win cups for Liverpool and hopefully helping us on a charge towards a Premier League and a Europa League as well. So long may it continue. What do you think of Caoimhin Kelleher? Let me know in the comments. Is he ready to fill the void in the absence of Alisson? And do you think his level is good enough that he could even be par shoulder to shoulder with the beautiful bearded Brazilian? Drop a like, and if you want more from me, and then I'm always available over on redmenplus.com. We do loads of extra Liverpool content and on the Redmen YouTube channel as well. So there is that. Thank you so much. Have a boss day.